Well, hello there everyone, Chris here. You join me in remarkably sunny Dartmoor, sunny but windy, and I'm here on a Friday night in late September, heading out for a couple of nights of wild camping. I've just left the National Park Centre at Post Bridge, and I'm heading up to Teignhead Farm, where I'm going to spend the night tonight. You can see behind me some of the famous ponies. I don't think those ones in particular are famous, I think it's just, you know, the brand. The wind is fierce. The forecast was for it to be pelting down with rain, so I'm happy for the sun, but the wind is gusting up to 50 miles an hour, constant between 20 and 40, and it's coming out of the north when I'm heading due north, so that's really pleasant. It's going to take me about 2.5 hours to get up to Teignhead Farm, with a little bit of a detour along the way, maybe to go and look at a very old ancient sheepfold for a bit of excitement, but I'll catch up with you in a bit. Well, I'm in the sheepfold now, and you can probably hear it sounds like the wind's died down. It hasn't, it's just that this is so sturdily built. No one really knows how this came to be here. There's a couple of theories. One, that it was a factory for making starch out of potatoes that were locally grown, and two, that it was always intended to be for sheep to pasture here, and that there's lots of kind of like abandoned huts and things in here that might have been for sheep, might not have been for sheep, but it's pretty impressive. Lots of standing stones that have been lugged here from the surrounding tor, and then infill with dry stone wall. You probably see it's just started to rain because it's Dartmoor, so that's really good. And if I show you over the wall, you can see that we've got a lovely, great shower coming in, so that is wonderful. I'm loving these uprights and the dry stone walling in between, but I'm going to have to leave because I want to stay warm in this shower. So I'm back down in the valley of the East Dart. I'm looking for an ancient beehive hut, which is either not here anymore or I lack the imagination to be able to see it. It should be, so where that little stream goes right into the hillside there, it should be around here somewhere. But I've been looking around here and I can't really find anything. Ah! Now this looks a bit more promising. Oh. Here we go. Okay, I don't know why I couldn't find that, that's pretty obvious. So this was a beehive hut. Didn't have bees in it, but it was named like this because it was shaped like a beehive, and you would get, well, either hermits or farmers would use this. Pretty cool. I expect it's been reconstructed several times in its life. Probably just found as a ring of stones at some point, but hey, I'm glad I found it. Look at this. The black clouds have just left and we're bathed in sunshine again. Absolutely glorious. Had about half an hour of rain, which was pretty cold, but you know, I was just thinking I was getting a bit too hot, so that was pretty good really. I'm just heading north now up to Stone Circle and then to Teignhead Farm. So I reach the top of this hill, I'll be able to see Fernworthy Forest. I just thought I'd turn on the camera because of this glorious late afternoon sunshine. Onwards. Oh, it's very exciting. The wind is, well, the wind's still here. The rain has stopped and home for the night has just come into view. You see those trees in the middle of the moor there? They're not there for any natural reason, they're there because they're part of Teignhead Farm. And it's just a short walk away. I really hope there's no one else there. I'm not feeling very sociable today. I'd quite like to have that site to myself. But we will see. It's a pretty popular spot for wild campers, so we will see. Not long now. So here I am at the bounds of Teignhead Farm, about to go through the gate. There it is over there. Home sweet home for the night. And the wind's died down a bit as well in this little valley. Don't know if you can hear though, it is tearing through Fernworthy Forest over there. It's a pretty cool sound. Blue sky again, and hopefully it'll be like this for the rest of the night. Here we go, Teignhead Clapper Bridge. Hey, enjoy your trip. So this is Teignhead Farm. Yeah, it's raining again. This is home for the night, the ruins of Teignhead Farm. I don't have it entirely to myself because some of the normal occupants are here, and I'm hoping that they're going to go at some point because I don't fancy waking up dead with one of those sitting on me in the middle of the night. This is the outrageously sized fire pit. I was here a few years ago and had a fire here, to be fair, but there was no fire pit here then. This has grown and grown, and annoyingly it is in like the only spot really with close to level grass, so it's been completely ruined. That's a bit of a shame, but there's still some space. I'm going to set up about here, I think. I'm going to do that now, or I'm going to do that as soon as this shower passes. Oh, it's rainbow, and it looks like the end is really close. I might go and find my pot of gold. I'm going to go and do that, and then I'm going to take you on a little tour of the farm. There we go, all set up. I don't know how many hundreds of times in my life I've set up a tent, but I'm still absolutely useless at it. There's a few ways in which this tent could be better, but I'm not going to bother. It's good enough. I might peg out some of the guys a bit more, but it will hold, he says. So let's look around the farm. Okay, so that last shower was a long one. I've sat it out in the tent, but it's now about 20 to 7 with sunset at 7. So I'm going to end the filming for the night, have a beer, have some dinner, and then hopefully in the morning I'll be able to give you a bit of a tour of the farm. Good night. Good morning. What a glorious day. Just been sitting a few meters away from you watching the sunrise. Now brewing up some water for some porridge, and then I'll have some tea and I'll strike camp. It's about 7:30. Sunrise was officially 7, but it takes a while to get up over the hills and the trees over there. There we go. I'll be on my way pretty soon, because there's quite a lot of walking ahead of me this morning. Going to be difficult to leave this place though. Okay, so last night I promised you a bit of a tour of the farm, so it's time to follow through. We're going to go a bit through the keyhole here into one of the gateways. The reason I've chosen this one, there's about 4 or 5 gates into here, but this one's got these lovely old grooves cut for the gate, which I've read somewhere people think it might have been taken from elsewhere, actually from an even older farm. This place started farming in the early 1800s. So I think it started to be built and the land to be taken 1812. That's back down to the brook and to the Clapper Bridge that you saw last night. Then we'll come through here. I've managed to explode everywhere, as is my custom. I'm just drying these things off. And that's the main house ahead of us, but before we go there, I'm going to come up to where I had my porridge and my tea this morning to look at this fantastic trough, which is just gouged out of the rock. And again, it's said that this might have been a tinner's mould before it did service as a cattle trough. But either way, I think it's pretty impressive. Move over to the main house, which is completely ruined, despite the fact that in as late as 1972, 73, it was still standing. But it went derelict around that time and was pulled down by the Duchy of Cornwall, who's the landowner here. It was 3 rooms, quite a big house. 3 rooms on the ground floor, and I think 2 or 3 on the top as well. You can still see the lintel over the fireplace here. And then, if we climb up a bit, this room is full of corrugated iron, which again there was a corrugated iron kind of lean-to building close by, so that's presumably original. I don't think anyone's lugged any more up here. If we go round to the other side, one of the other entrance gates, you'll see what it looks like from here. So the place was all new take, which means that the farmers here applied to the duchy for a lease, and enclosed about 900 acres of common land from, I think it's Shagford or Gidley Common around here. They're actually stopped from taking the full amount by the commoners, who came out and stopped them building all of their walls and forced the redirection of some of the walls so that they would take less land from the common. And that's the way it stayed. The commoners won, and the farmer applied for a reduction in his rent from the Duchy of Cornwall, which was granted, and so the new take remained at that kind of just under 900 acres. This paddock here is shown on the map as entirely wooded. It hasn't been that way for a long time. I think I read somewhere that the last tenants planted up and cut down most of the trees before they left. Looks like we've got some conifers and things. The Fernworthy forest over there is mainly Sitka spruce, so I wouldn't be surprised if you got some of that over here as well, which burns like absolute trash. So I didn't have a fire last night, because to get a fire that lasts even a decent amount of time, you want some hardwood, not the kind of rubbishy conifers that you've got around here. This farm was used for sheep farming. I think it might have had some potatoes at some point, and for cattle farming, both their own cattle, and they would take in other people's cattle. In the summer months, people would send their cattle from lowland farms up here to graze, which meant that they could use their lowland farms for other things like arable. They'd get their animals back in the winter. It's an ancient custom called transhumance, and that beehive hut we saw a few kilometres away last night, that kind of hut was used by the cowherds when they were doing transhumance, when they were bringing the cows up into the hills. It's impossible to say whether that one was actually used by this farm or by other farmers, or whether it was used by a hermit, as many of them were. But so that is Teignhead Farm. I've struck camp, looked around to make sure I haven't left anything. I've picked up a few other people's rubbish as well, and I'm going to move on now, I think, to Stat's house, which is a little hut in the middle of nowhere, and we'll see what his view was like. So here I am at Stats House. I've come down from Sitterford Tor up there. Teignhead Farm was tucked down in the valley down there. Come across here, down into a little barracoon, which is supposed to be a stream, but it's actually just a massive mire, and took me about 10 minutes trying to find a ford or a way across. Part this hill, and here we have, in the middle of absolutely nowhere, Stats House. Another lovely fireplace lintel there. Stats House, I don't think it was ever permanently, let's get down out of the wind. I don't think it was ever permanently inhabited. Stats House, I think it was a tinner's hut that the tinners would use to stay overnight when they're working out here, and to get out of the elements as well. But it is isolated up here. So this lonely stone out in the middle of nowhere is interesting. It marks the start of a peat pass, of which there are several across Dartmoor. This is Winnie's Down Peat Pass. I'm not sure if you can see that. The inscription says, "This stone marks a crossing through the peat, which may be of use to hunting and cattlemen. The crossing was made by Frank Philpotts, who died October 1909. It is kept up in his memory by his brother and his son." It's not quite so well defined anymore. It goes off down in that direction. There are others that are bigger and better defined. The one that I think I'm probably going to go up later, Cut Hill, is particularly well defined, unless it's changed a lot in recent years, which it may have done. But this Winnie's Down, not quite so useful anymore. But thank you, Mr. Philpotts, for trying anyway. So we're at the East Dart waterfall. Not been here for many years, since came up here with Gingy, Timmy, Morkel and Dave. Someone almost fell in here, I can't remember who it is. I think Dave saved them. The rocks were very slippery that day. We got very close to the falls and someone got even closer. I wish I could remember who it was. Dave was very proud of himself for making the save. Anyway, just north of here, the Dart has cut a hole, a sandy hole pass through the hills. So I'm going to take that and head now up through the pass up to Cut Hill. So here we are at another one of Mr. Philpotts' peat passes. This is the Northwest Passage up Cut Hill, which, as I said earlier, is much better defined than the one that we saw earlier. You can see here the cuts in the peat that are still present, and it's a well-defined kind of depression that those red and white posts, which mark the internal boundary between two parts of the firing range, follow up the hill as well. We are probably about at least 10k in every direction from a good usable road, and I'm going to follow Mr. Philpotts' path and the red and white poles up that way, up to the top of Cut Hill. Bit of an ominous cairn here marking the top of Cut Hill, and oh, she's windy. I'm going to go and see if I can get out of the wind. But yeah, summit of Cut Hill. Tick. Hello. It is lunchtime. I'm not entirely sure what time it is. I think it's about 1:15. I'm by the banks of the Teignhead, and I found this nice little cave here, which is out of the wind, in the sunshine, and be perfect for lunch. So I've got my tin of cat food here, which is supposed to be tuna and pasta salad, but looks and smells like cat food. So I'm going to have that and then move on, but it's going to be difficult to leave this little spot. Perfectly sheltered, nice and warm. Love it. Hello, so you join me now. Well, I'm actually standing in the dried out bed of the prison leat. I've walked from along there. I've been probably in the bed of the leat for about 500 metres. I've got to this rather lovely little footbridge, which is now spanning a dry leat. And down there is the River Walkham, and I was up in the upper reach of the Walkham Valley earlier on. I have made abysmal time. Probably been doing about 2.5k an hour for the last couple of hours, which, if you don't know your apples from your onions, isn't a great pace. So it's about 4 o'clock now. My original plan was to head that way to Peter Teignhead Great Tom Common, and then kind of come back up and around, come back to this spot, and then head that way to go and camp in the Cowsic River Valley, which, although it sounds disgusting, is a really pretty valley that has lots of good campsites kind of dotted down it. I'm gonna have a little think. I think I might just head that way, make good time to the Cowsic, and then see if I can find a campsite, because the sun is on its way down. Still got a good few hours of light left, but it's in the lower part of the sky now. Home sweet home for the night. Camped above the Cowsic River, looking downstream into Homing Beam. That's a pretty good view. This campsite ticks all the boxes. It's close to the Litch Way, which is the road I'm going to be following, or the path I'm going to be following, really all the way back to Postbridge tomorrow. It's close to water. It's quite sheltered. The wind is quite strong, but we're just behind a little hillock here which is sheltering us, and I've still got sunshine, not for much longer, because the sun is just about to dip behind that hill over there, and then we'll be in darkness. And I've got another similar hill on the other side, so I'm not going to get a sunrise tomorrow either, but I think this is going to do me pretty well tonight. So it's 5:30, way too early for dinner. Maybe time for a little snack though. So I'm going to have some of this bachelor's attempt at a craft dinner, mac and cheese. They're very excited that they're using less packaging, which I'm sure is wonderful for the planet, but they haven't considered that there are some morons out there who, while they're in the middle of nowhere wearing incredible head attire, might want to just dunk or dump a load of water into the bag to rehydrate the pasta. They really haven't thought this one through, or maybe I haven't. But we're going to give it a whirl and hope the bottom doesn't fall out, literally. I've come up to the top of the eastern hill, so I can still get some light and warmth from the sun, which is glorious, because the campsite's now completely in darkness. Night has fallen over the campsite. I've left this kind of 15 minutes. I'm just about to open it up now, and oh, this hasn't really worked. Oh, it's watery. Okay, that's pretty awful. If you think about it as noodle soup, like an Italian creamy noodle soup, it's fine. It's not mac and cheese. It's not craft dinner. But it'll do. And I'm going to eat every last bit of it, nonetheless, in the sunshine. Oh, it's clear. It's cold, but it's clear. I'm not sure how much you can see. There's the moon, and I think possibly Venus already visible. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. So when the sun's completely gone, it is hopefully going to be awash with stars. I'm not going to be able to get any of them on the GoPro. That might be technically possible, but not for this guy. Good morning, everyone. So GoPro battery died, so I'm using my phone this morning. It's about 20 to 9 and I've been walking for about half an hour, maybe a little bit longer, up the Cowsic to try and find the Bear Down Man, which is a standing stone. And it's pretty windy. It's another beautiful day, as you can see, but it's very windy. I'm just going to move to try and get that out of the microphone. With a strong northwesterly wind. I'm walking northeasterly, so getting a lovely slap in the face from the wind. And I've just come down into the river valley to shelter behind this rock to talk to you and to have a bit of water. I have been tracking up the river valley because I thought the Bear Down Man was marked on the map very close to the river, and I've just noticed that that is actually an old mark on my map, and that the Bear Down Man is actually at the top of the hill up here, closer to the Tor. I think it's the Devil's Tor or something like that. So I am going to strike out up the hill now after a drink, and hopefully we'll find the elusive Bear Down Man. Hello everyone, Future Chris here. I managed to find the Bear Down Man, as you can see, and from here walked to Rough Tor and then Crow and Longford Tors before heading the last few kilometres down into Post Bridge. Sadly, while the footage is good, the phone mic just couldn't cope with all that wind, and so the rest of what I shot is largely unusable. It was a fantastic 2-night trip with a little under 2 days of actual walking, a 40-kilometre route with 1,000 metres of total ascent. If you've made it this far, then thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it.